On India Tonight, we are tracking an important question about the travel industry, and that is whether Uttar Pradesh has become the new Goa. You may be surprised at the question, but frankly, you shouldn't be, because the northern state is fast emerging as a tourist hotspot. There is, of course, one distinction, that tourists are not coming to Uttar Pradesh to chill, but rather to express their devotion to Lord Ram. Remember, the Ram temple is coming up next year, sometime in January, we understand. Varanasi also, of course, is the Prime Minister's constituency. It would see great interest in the polls of 2024. Even Diwali, the Festival of Lights, it's attracting a lot of tourists to Uttar Pradesh. No wonder hotels in Ayodhya and Faizabad are seeing this rush. Many customers trying to book rooms for up to a fortnight. Which is why we're asking, is religious tourism the next big growth factor for the hospitality industry? Let's find out. Ajay Awtaney is the founder at livefromalounge.com, and Sankalp Agarwal is founder and director at TravelTriangle. Gentlemen, great to have you with us this evening. Do tell us, Ajay Awtaney, as far as the spiritual tourism vertical is concerned in the Indian travel industry, how much of growth has it seen in recent times? It's not like pre-pandemic, there wasn't spiritual travel, but now it seems to have grown that much more. Do you see that? And what do you account it to if you do?
So, indeed, travel for pilgrimage has kind of picked up after the pandemic, and I think it's growing at a much faster clip than perhaps what we've seen before. But it's also driven a bit by the same factors as earlier. The rest of the industry is going through the phase of fear of missing out. So I guess, people have also figured that they want to kind of go and do their pilgrimages now rather than wait 5 years, 10 years or whatever. And I guess that's one factor fueling a lot of religious pilgrimage. Also, UP specific, obviously, you already mentioned Varanasi obviously attracts crowds due to Diwali and so on. Ayodhya is becoming a very big tourism center. And obviously, the erstwhile UP, which was joined up with Uttarakhand, there were already far many historic sites of religious importance. So, yes, I see that this segment's going to continue to grow and boom in the times to come.
Do you agree? And like we're hearing from Ajay, do you think it's FOMO that's driving it, the fear of missing out? Because if that's the case, then places like Ayodhya, places like Varanasi, where some of the action is going to be concentrated, is going to see that much more of a spurt? Or do you think that spiritual tourism as a concept is going to grow, and it's going to grow across different parts of India and not just specific places and certain pockets?
Yes, I definitely think, spiritual tourism has been one of the key pillars in growth of tourism in India, right? So from Vaishno Devi to Char Dham Yatra to, in the south, be it all the temples, right? India has been traveling a lot, and with more avenues for people now to go to new places, with Ram Temple being built and more more things coming into the picture, it is going to go up, right? And it's going to go up more and more, as after COVID, people have now traveled, and they are entering into the phase where the domestic flights are catching up to the total level of travel which is coming up, and the economy is also not dying down. So the income is available with the folks, and with festive season coming in, with the Shara coming in, uh, with Nag Panchami coming in, with uh, Diwali coming in, more and more travel for spiritual reason is out there for which we are
Do
going to
tell
see.
me, like Sankalp is pointing out, that this is a demand-supply situation, that people are willing to spend, Ajay. And if that is the case, then is this a certain demographic change that we are seeing as far as spiritual tourism is concerned for the kind of people who want to embark on these journeys? Is it a new kind of customer base that is being generated, or is it that even a millennial today or a Gen Z wanting to this kind of travel would kind of say, let's go?
So personally, I think it is not the Gen Z really traveling so much. I mean, the Gen Z is traveling for festivals, but not to the places that you mentioned. I'll give you an example. I was in Uttarakhand a couple of months back, and I think I was staying at a hotel, a five-star property, where every day they were giving away 70, 80 rooms to this whole bunch of people who were going for the Char Dham Yatra. So, but the demographic was all the same. It was people who were perhaps 60 plus. I think one of the things that has changed now for a lot of these people is that instead of doing 2 or 3 day train rides, flights have become more accessible. Flights have become more, affordable as well. So planning does not take months and months. You can just sort of book up with a travel agent or with a package operator and turn up for the whole thing rather than having to plan 6 months in advance. The Gen Z and the millennials are also traveling, but I guess they're traveling for festivals which are more, spread out and more accepted by everyone, I would imagine, like Deepavali in Varanasi, Diwali as a whole. Obviously, a lot of people in India travel at that point in time. Durga Puja in Calcutta, everyone travels. So those kind of things, I think, they're picking up.
Yes.
But certain stations are only getting the 50, 60-year-old traveler.
Sankalp, do weigh in on this. When we're talking about the demographics, tell us about the average budgets of travelers in this segment and how the travel industry is catering to every kind of budget. Because there would be, the aspirational Indian. There would be the kind that is the upper middle class who would look for luxury even on these spiritual journeys. Tell us about the various kinds that exist right now and how that has changed in recent times and how the travel industry is gearing to catering to them.
Sure. So, traveling in India is pretty cheap, and basis your convenience, you can, take the kind of the mode of transport which suits you up, right? So you can start with the train ride, which is at much nominal price, and it can go up to, flight price booked 1 day before, right? So if you see the spiritual tourism, right, that is whole of the India which is traveling. So it starts from lower middle class, rich people, everyone traveling at that in that circle, right? So we see people coming through all the modes of transport, right? If you are very close to the tourist spot, then the buses are also seen being used, right? So that is how the India travels for spiritual tourism. Now, obviously, when people are traveling in large groups and they are doing it once in a year kind of a trip, then they make it more grand and they look like to spend more on it, right? That's how it happens. The second thing is how the travel industry is gearing up for it. Of course, there are multiple inventory owners which are out there. If you talk about the hoteliers, right? So hoteliers typically have started to use dynamic pricing for such festival season these days, right? So the prices increases when you are closer to the hotel dates. Flights, we all know that people start to book 2 to 3 months in advance, and as the Diwali comes up and the large festivals come up, the amount of inventory and the amount of runway, the inventory is all seen, and so that there is enough inventory. All the inventory is exhausted, right, from the
Correct.
flights perspective.
Yes.
And when you see from the train ticket, it starts to book, and
Yes.
the car bookings.
And sometimes it's very difficult to get those kind of bookings. So the competitive landscape is also going to change within the travel industry. The opportunities of growth are there. Ajay, how have you seen the travel industry actually change? Competitive landscape has obviously gone through a sea change to be able to cater to the spiritual traveler. How exactly has that happened in your opinion?
So I think, just picking up from where Sankalp left, obviously, I think airline operators are going in for all these places where, which are spiritual hotbeds, sort of all across India, not just, in the northern part of the country. I guess if there's a sizable traffic to be driven, they take it up on themselves to develop the air market for that. I think the second concept I've seen taking shape over the past 5 years or so has been that a lot of the branded hoteliers, the likes of the Tajes, the IHCL group and the ITC group and so on, they found their way to all these religious centers. So, for instance, I think there is, I can't remember which chain opened a hotel. I think ITC opened a hotel in Katra, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that one. But yeah, a lot of chain hotels, the branded inventory
Yes.
has landed up at all these religious centers.
Yeah.
And obviously, during times of festivals and so on, they make a killing
Yes.
because, even with the 1 week, like your research says, they have guests staying for 1 week or so, and
Yes.
the rates are through the roof.
Exactly. So that is what is changing from the hotels, the airline side. What about the center and the state and their tourism boards? How have you seen them really tap into the potential of expanding tourism within the scope of their activity, Ajay?
So I think one of the big things that is happening is, everyone realizes the potential, and everyone's tapping into social media now. Let's not forget, social media is not just a Gen Z or a millennial thing. Uh, People depend perhaps on WhatsApp forwards, but once a video from Twitter or Facebook lands up on WhatsApp, then obviously it kind of gets circulated in all these groups for people who are elder people as well. So I think social media, everyone's making use of, number one. And number two, I think a lot of the tourism boards have realized that they need to provide more facilities and do certain festivals in a more organized manner, so that whereas maybe earlier the impact was X, if they did it in a more organized fashion and made it easier for people to find information and arrive, and made some packages with the, Make My Trips and the Travel Triangle kind of people, then discovery is easier. And if discovery is easier, more people are going to turn up. So these are two things I think have changed over the past 5-6 years.
Changes are obviously going to happen that much more as more and more people decide to embark on these spiritual journeys. And that's the segment within our travel industry that is seeing rapid growth. How much further it rises is going to be an interesting watch. But both gentlemen, Sankalp and Ajay, thank you very much for joining us with your perspective on this edition of India Tonight. We'll keep tracking it in the future too.